From the nation's capital, Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. A weekly discussion about the federal issues most important to Nevada. And now, from Washington, D.C., here's Marilee Joyce.
And good day to you. I'm Marilee Joyce, and this is Eye on Washington. It's the only statewide Nevada news program produced in Washington, D.C. Every week, Eye on Washington takes you straight to Capitol Hill for a discussion with Nevada's delegation and other leaders about the federal matters that matter to you. Today's topic, the aftermath of the Sessions memo. Could a change in federal marijuana policy threaten not only the marijuana industry, but the Nevada economy in general? My guests today to talk about that with us are Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus and our special guest, Mr. Morgan Fox of the Marijuana Policy Project, based here in Washington, D.C. And thanks for being here, both of you.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks. Are thousands of jobs and millions in tax revenue in jeopardy? Well, that's the big question facing Nevada's nearly new and already thriving marijuana market, following the rescinding of a federal memo that allowed state-regulated pot businesses to operate. And today on Eye on Washington, we'll learn what the Sessions Directive means to Nevada and other states with legalized sales. We'll update you on Congresswoman Titus's years-long effort to get the federal government to respect state marijuana law. And we'll learn what the Marijuana Policy Project is and how the group works with Congress to end federal marijuana prohibition. Well, cannabis is the fourth most popular recreational drug in the world, trailing only alcohol, caffeine, and tobacco. And boy, is it popular in Nevada, especially following the legalization of recreational sales there in 2017. Popular, too, for the huge boom it has meant for the state economy. Marijuana sales in Nevada reached $126 million in just the first 4 months companies were open for business, from which the state took a hefty $19 million in taxes. But now all that could be in jeopardy. Early this year, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions rescinded the Obama administration policy considered a protector for state-regulated marijuana markets. Sessions told federal prosecutors in the memo that they were to follow federal law when it comes to sales of the substance, and under federal law, the activity does remain illegal. And Congresswoman, we want to update our audience on your continuing efforts to mesh the federal and state and local laws returning, the federal and state laws regarding marijuana regulation. But for now, would you remind us all what the Attorney General did on February 4th and what it means to Nevada?
Well, he overturned a standing policy that had been issued by his predecessor under the Obama administration, which virtually said that the Justice Department was not going to go after people who sold marijuana or used marijuana in states where it had been made legal. Now, a number of states, over half the states, have medical marijuana. Almost all of them have some form of dealing with the ingredients of marijuana, and now more and more states are allowing recreational. So in our states, we worry that whoever the federal attorney is, the U.S. attorney in the state, can use now their own discretion, not following any national policy, and go after our legitimate businesses. That puts customers, patients, doctors, distributors, growers all in jeopardy, and that's not good for business.
Mr. Fox, take us back a little. What exactly is that Obama-era policy, the so-called Cole memo, and how was it until now sort of seen as a big protector against prosecution for those involved in sales?
Well, it didn't actually change federal law when it came to marijuana enforcement, but it was more of a guideline for U.S. attorneys to deprioritize enforcement of federal marijuana law in states where it was legal for medical or for adult use purposes, and basically allowed the Department of Justice, U.S. attorneys, to determine exactly what cases would rise to the level of federal scrutiny. But these were just guidelines. So the rescission of this memo is another guideline, more or less, just saying you can start taking more of these cases if you choose to. We're hopeful that the U.S. attorneys in states that have made marijuana legal for adult use will listen to state leaders and continue to deprioritize these sort of enforcements against state legal businesses. But the rescission of the memo did create a lot of uncertainty, and now the gloves are off, really. U.S. attorneys can, if they so choose, or if they're trying to impress Jeff Sessions, start going after these businesses in a much more intense manner than they have for years.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
And Jeff Sessions has always been very anti-marijuana, and so that's the message kind of coming from the top. But in Nevada, we have a new U.S. attorney who's just been appointed. She's never been in Nevada. She's from Texas. We don't have any idea what her position is going to be.
Sure.
She's temporary now, but she could become permanent, and that adds to the uncertainty and insecurity of our companies and doctors in the state.
Insecurity, a good word segue into my next question for you. You know, it might have been a decade since the Great Recession, but since Nevada was hit the hardest, the Great Recession still in the minds of many. And
That's right.
a bad economy, again, is fresh in Nevadans' mind. So here's a brand new industry raking in $216 million in its first 4 months, putting a lot of taxes in state coffers. I'm sure that you don't want that going away.
No, I don't. And most of the dispensaries are right in my district there in the heart of the valley. But you know, this isn't just some little head shop with a poster of Che Guevara in it. These are real kind of industries. You've got scientists involved in the agriculture part of it.
Sure.
You've got chefs involved in making products. You've got a lot of people in security, people who are in the sales end of it. So it's big business, and it's going to grow. And so we don't want to lose that revenue in the state.
You know, speaking of that, Mr. Fox, I do want to acknowledge there are people that are on the other side of this, that are not pro marijuana. We are not saying anything positive,
Right.
negative about, you know, anyone might. But this show is about the Sessions memo and what it means in your efforts to mesh the federal and the state law. We've talked about the taxes to the state, but I wanted to ask you about the employment that legalizing marijuana recreational sales means to Nevada and other states. In Nevada, I have stats here that there are currently more than employment in general, recreational marijuana in Nevada. 260 marijuana, this is national, 260 recreational marijuana businesses and 8,700 employees. So it's big business, right?
If we're talking nationally in legal states,
Much
with
more than
tens
that.
of thousands of jobs,
Yeah.
and that's
But that's just
in
Nevada,
the industry.
Just Nevada, 260 businesses.
And the Congresswoman mentioned something that's very important. All these ancillary industries that may have been hit by the recession pretty hard are now starting to have a new revenue source. They can start hiring more people. They can start doing more business. We're talking plumbers, electricians, software designers. And this is really solid job creation. So any sort of an administration that cares about job creation and cares about business security should be supporting regulating marijuana like alcohol instead of having this market be controlled by criminals.
All right, when we return, what you need to know about the conflict between Nevada and federal marijuana laws. Let's lay it all out for you right after this.
You're watching Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, brought to you by Caesars Entertainment, the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, NV Energy, Jim Marsh Automotive and Body Shop, the Rogich Communications Group, and Renown Health.
I have 3 tests next week. I'm going to be studying all weekend. Ugh. Are you studying tonight? We can meet up and study together. Oh yeah, that sounds good. What time? I work until 6. Okay, sounds good. Just text me after. Okay. No!
There is no text, tweet, or call that's worth a life.
One pedestrian death is one too many.
Look up.
And look out for each other.
Want more federal news that affects Nevada, its businesses, and its residents? Then you need to subscribe to Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter, your sole source of online news direct from Washington, D.C. Visit joycecommunications.com and subscribe today.
The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. They're my savior. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Planet Hollywood, Paris, Harrah's, Caesar's Palace. It's one of the most exciting skylines in the world, Las Vegas. Caesars Entertainment has nearly 50 casinos worldwide, including these: But no matter which casino you visit, we want you to play responsibly. And if you need help setting or keeping a limit, we hope you'll call this number. You see, we know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
A family's presence in the hospital helps children heal faster and cope better. But children who need specialized medical care are often sent out of the Reno area for treatment. Costs can get unmanageable, and it can be difficult for families to accompany their sick child. The Travel for Treatment program, presented by Ronald McDonald House Charities Northern Nevada, gives parents travel assistance when a child's medical treatment is not available at a local hospital. Please contact us today for more information and to see how you can help. Donate online at rmhc-reno.org.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington and our update on federal versus state laws governing the sales of recreational marijuana. My guests today are Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus and our special guest, Mr. Morgan Fox of the Marijuana Policy Project. Well, let's see now what all this confusion is about. As of July of 2017, Nevadans aged 21 and over can possess up to 1 ounce of marijuana. This new law requires that marijuana be regulated like alcohol, that its cultivation and sales be regulated similar to other legal businesses. But even though Nevada marijuana businesses are making bank, the act of buying, selling, cultivating, distributing, and transporting marijuana is still illegal under federal law. Here are the state recreational marijuana provisions. Adults can possess up to 1 ounce. You can smoke in private home, yard, or porch, but not in public places. You can grow 6 plants per person, up to 12 plants per household, and they need to be at least 25 miles away from the nearest dispensary. Federal provisions: marijuana is a Schedule I controlled substance. As such, federal agencies continue to prosecute against marijuana-related activities like distributing to minor, transporting it across state lines, and possession of federal property. So Mr. Fox, the federal government has the authority to prosecute in states that legalized marijuana, correct? And a Nevadan buying from a marijuana business can get busted?
If federal authorities were to get involved, I think the real issue is
Does that happen?
Very rarely. Previously, under the Cole memo, the federal government would only get involved if a business or individual were breaking a certain set of criteria that were laid out in that memo, mostly related to public safety issues. If federal prosecutors wanted to bring cases, they would have to decide whether or not they were going to allocate their resources in that manner. And there simply aren't enough federal law enforcement officers in any state to really go after individuals for possession. It's just a matter of logistics. But they could still enforce the law, so they could do it in a targeted manner. And I think that that's making people very nervous.
So, Congresswoman, and that's why you've said that the Cole memo mattered so much, right? Because it was sort of a wall separating the state marijuana businesses and their buyers from that long arm of the feds, right? Well,
that's right. It made it so that it was not a priority for the federal government to go after marijuana businesses in states where it was legal. But anytime business tells you what they need security, and they don't have it. Sure. And you see it in terms of the VA at the federal level. They can't recommend to veterans or even talk about using medical marijuana for PTSD or pain management. You see it in banking. Since it's illegal federally, banks are regulated by the federal government. They don't want to run the risk of taking money. You see it in tax law. Marijuana businesses, like all small businesses, should be entitled to some of those tax write-offs that help them to grow and develop and expand. Well, they're not. So we need for the federal government to catch up to the states. We're far behind.
So the Sessions Directive is relatively new, but are you already hearing from constituents or own dispensaries or Nevadans that frequent these places? Are they feeling threatened? Are they confused? What's next?
They absolutely are. I work with Tick Segerbloom at the state level, who's been the champion in the legislature. There's an organization of dispensaries that are talking about hiring a lobbyist here on the Hill to help them stay informed and push for some of this legislation. They're very concerned, and they're getting very organized. You know, they're new to the political world. They have groups like this to help them, but they're realizing that they need to have a voice.
Mr. Fox, when the MPP learned of this directive, what actions did your organization take, and where do things stand now as far as what you're doing?
Well, we really wanted to show people that this move was out of step with the majority of the American public who want marijuana legalized nationally, is out of step with the Department of Justice's own marijuana task force, which recommended keeping the Cole memo in place several months ago. And it's out of touch with the administration. And President Trump has said on several occasions that he supports medical marijuana and that overall marijuana should be a state issue. So we really wanted to make sure that people knew that this was very much a top-down action and not something that was necessarily supported by the administration or by the rest of the Department of Justice. And I think that the backlash from that decision has been immense. We're seeing new co-sponsors on marijuana-related legislation on the Hill every day.
So what you mean is you believe that President Trump and his Attorney General do not agree probably on this matter?
I think that Jeff Sessions' attitude towards marijuana and his words and actions so far are in direct contradiction to what the president has said in the past.
And that's sort of what you said too.
Well, I don't trust the president. He says one thing today and something else tomorrow.
But you believe Jeff Sessions, or the Attorney General, is against marijuana?
I do. Yes, I do
agree
with that.
Okay, and when we return, so just what is the Marijuana Policy Project and why should Nevadans care about this DC-based organization? Well, let's find out right after this.
Nevada's direct link to Capitol Hill. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. The only statewide Nevada news show based in Washington, D.C. All the top federal matters that matter most to Nevadans. Marilee talks with our congressional delegation and other leaders about the federal news you need to know. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. Nevada's Eye on Capitol Hill.
When you think RTC, what comes to mind? How about jobs? RTC road projects bring thousands of jobs to Washoe County, expanding and connecting northern Nevada, growing our local economy, providing a more secure future for our residents and their families. So when you think jobs, think RTC. Your RTC, the RTC of Washoe County.
We're not a miracle drug. We're not a technology. We're not doctors. Just the hope, which can often be the best cure of all. The Ronald McDonald House, a home away from home for seriously ill children and their families.
Planet Hollywood, Paris, Harrah's, Caesar's Palace. It's one of the most exciting skylines in the world, Las Vegas. Caesars Entertainment has nearly 50 casinos worldwide, including these. But no matter which casino you visit, we want you to play responsibly. And if you need help setting or keeping a limit, we hope you'll call this number. You see, we know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on
it. Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
And welcome back to the Eye on Washington show and our marijuana news update. Congresswoman Titus has had to leave us. She had some votes in the Capitol building, but we still have with us Mr. Morgan Fox of the Marijuana Policy Project. And this segment, we're going to talk about your organization. Just what is the Marijuana Policy Project and how has this organization impacted Nevada? Well, this Washington, D.C.-based Marijuana Policy Project was founded in 1995 to lobby for reduced penalties on marijuana cultivation, sales, and use. It and NORML are the nation's top marijuana legalization lobbying organizations. MPP's mission includes increasing public support for non-punitive, non-coercive marijuana policies, identifying and activating supporters of non-punitive, non-coercive marijuana policies, changing state laws to reduce or eliminate penalties for marijuana and medical and non-medical use of marijuana, and gaining influence in Congress. According to their website, they envision a nation where marijuana is legally regulated similarly to alcohol, marijuana education is honest and realistic, and treatment for marijuana users is non-coercive and geared toward reducing harm. And you can learn a lot more at mpp.org. That is mpp.org. You know, I was looking at a show that I did with you in 2016, and you were so focused on that Nevada ballot that was going to, it was approaching the vote on legalization, which of course we've said passed in July of last year. And I'll ask you something I asked you then and let you update us. You have a huge multi-state effort going on all the time. What percentage of your work from organization inception to now has been successful?
I think that recently it's become much more successful. Most of the ballot initiatives that we've been involved in have been successful in various states. Unfortunately, we haven't made as much progress as we would like to at the federal level. Traditionally, state lawmakers have been much more responsive to their constituents when it comes to this issue than federal lawmakers. But I believe that's starting to change now that the Sessions decision to rescind the Cole memo is starting to make federal lawmakers very nervous about what's going to happen in their states.
You know, you did get a victory in Nevada last year, but it was a long slog. You know, it was many years in the making, and there were some fails before it passed. What do you carry forward from the efforts that don't pass as you move on and work in other states?
Well, I think that the most important thing is to realize the reasons that people continue to support marijuana prohibition. But really, the biggest stumbling block is convincing people that marijuana is objectively safer than alcohol, which it is. And once people realize this fact, it becomes impossible to justify what we do to marijuana consumers.
What are you focused on now? Anything big happening in any state?
We're still working at the federal level, trying to get, at least in the short term, protections against the federal government being able to spend money on marijuana enforcement in states where it's legal or for medical purposes. And hopefully we'll be able to get that renewed in the new spending bill. We're also going to be working on a ballot initiative to make marijuana legal for adults in Michigan and a medical marijuana ballot initiative in Utah and potentially in Nebraska for the November 2018 ballot. We're also going to be working in states like New Hampshire, Connecticut, Delaware, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island to try to pass legislation that would make marijuana legal for adults.
What are the biggest arguments against that you deal with, and how do you lobby on behalf, and how do you help educate people to what you believe is, you know, the better news, I guess, about marijuana and why it should pass?
Well, I think that the criticisms that we get most of the time are that teen use is going to skyrocket and there are going to be a huge increase in marijuana-caused traffic fatalities. And so far from legal states, we just haven't seen that. In fact, teen use seems to be decreasing.
You keep statistics? You keep records?
Absolutely. And most of the time, we actually use the government's data for this, which is tends to be the most reliable. But the fact is that the sky hasn't fallen in these states. Okay. All of the naysayers have not been able to prove that these things that they're worried about are actually happening. So really we're just pushing forward and trying to make sure that we can pass similar laws and so that other states see exactly the benefits of regulating marijuana.
All right. When we return, the efforts moving forward, what's happening on Congress now, and what does my guest say needs to happen to protect Nevada's marijuana industry? That's right after this.
Planet Hollywood, Paris, Harrah's, Caesar's Palace. It's one of the most exciting skylines in the world, Las Vegas. Caesars Entertainment has nearly 50 casinos worldwide, including these. But no matter which casino you visit, we want you to play responsibly. And if you need help setting or keeping a limit, we hope you'll call this number. You see, we know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Nevada's direct link to Capitol Hill. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, the only statewide Nevada news show based in Washington, D.C. All the top federal matters that matter most to Nevadans. Marilee talks with our congressional delegation and other leaders about the federal news you need to know. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, Nevada's Eye on Capitol Hill.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education. I dare you to be somebody important. Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star. I dare you to stand up here. To call the shots. To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher.
Think you can change my life? Make me excited about science like you?
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you.
Are you studying tonight? We could meet up and study together. Just text me after. Okay. No!
There is no text, tweet, or call that's worth a life.
One pedestrian death is one too many.
Look up. And look out for each other.
This girl is very pretty. It's inciting feelings of jealousy in me. We should pick on her.
I'm insecure about some things, so I think we should put some me stuff on here. Maybe even some lies, too.
Yeah.
I just want to be accepted by you both. So I'm going to send this to my friends so they think I'm cool.
Kids bully for all kinds of reasons. None of them are good. Find ways to get involved at flipthescriptnow.org.
Want more federal news that affects Nevada, its businesses, and its residents? Then you need to subscribe to Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter, your sole source of online news direct from Washington, D.C. Visit joycecommunications.com and subscribe today.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington, our update on marijuana-related efforts on the Hill and state. Mr. Fox, what's the most important thing for Nevada right now regarding this confusing issue, and what are you most focused on here at the federal level?
Well, right now we're focused primarily on putting restrictions in the spending bill that would prevent the federal government from actually enforcing marijuana laws in states where it's legal for medical or for adult use purposes. So it's really important for Nevada residents to make sure to reach out to their lawmakers and get these restrictions passed. On a larger scale, we're trying to pass comprehensive legislation that would end federal marijuana prohibition and leave this entirely up to the states.
Thanks so much for being here today. Look forward to having you on again.
Thank you.
That does wrap up today's Eye on Washington, but we're always here for you, providing the latest from the Hill that Nevadans need to know. Just go to our website, joycecommunications.com. You can like us on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and that is it for today's Eye on Washington. I'm Marilee Joyce in Washington, D.C. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce airs statewide in Nevada solely due to the generosity of our sponsors. Can your company help us continue our mission to remain Nevada's top source of federal news? If you can help us help Nevadans, please visit joycecommunications.com/WordPress/EOW sponsors and join us today. That's joycecommunications.com/WordPress/EOW sponsors.